The 45th presidential election in American history took place on November 3rd, 1964. Almost a full year before this, John F. Kennedy was assassinated while visiting Dallas, Texas, leaving the nation shocked and heartbroken. Vice President Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in as the 36th President of the United States. Johnson sought on to carry on many of Kennedy's policies, though he was on to no Kennedy. One thing that was for sure, some say that Kennedy would have handled of sending troops to Vietnam to fight the communist Viet Cong differently than Johnson. Despite Kennedy being the one who sent the troops there, some say that right before Kennedy died, he had wanted to withdraw to bring the troops home. Johnson ended up staying the course, sending more troops to Vietnam. In fact, his administration pretty much made up the fact that American Navy ships were attacked twice by the Viet Cong, which what became known as the type of constant incidents, which what became known as the Vietnam War. Although Johnson had alliance with Kennedy and therefore was popular, he and most others were confident that he was going to get the Democratic nomination, but he did have opponents. Earlier that year, in 1964, Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, which focused on skin color, religion, and gender. First of all, there were the Dixiecrats, who never really went away since 1940. They definitely did not like the Civil Rights Act, led by George Wallace, the governor of Alabama. Some of them even threatened to leave the Democratic Party for good and even become Republicans. Wallace, who was against racial integration / forced segregation, did very well in the primaries. They all they were all just probably gonna give their votes to Lyndon Johnson. So Lyndon Johnson got the nomination with Hubert Humphrey, a senator from Maine, as Johnson's running mate. There was a controversy when the North Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, made up of mostly African Americans who challenged the all-white Mississippi delegates, protested in a shady way so there would be no white delegates, though most white delegates refused the compromise and walked out of the convention. Despite all of this, Johnson was totally going to win. The Republicans nominate Barry Goldwater, a senator from Arizona. Goldwater nearly became the Republican nomination after a tough fight with New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller. At the Republican National Convention, there was a lot of trash talking and a lot of booing, but Goldwater got the nomination with William E. Miller, an obscure representative and congressman from New York, as his running mate. Goldwater freaked a bunch of Republicans out. Opponents called him a radical. A lot of people dislike how Goldwater looks and didn't support him and walked out of the Republican convention refusing to compromise with him as the candidate. In the days leading up to the convention, Johnson led in huge margins against Goldwater, and here are the results. Lyndon Johnson easily won, receiving 486 electoral votes and 61.1% of the popular vote. Barry Goldwater got just 52 electoral votes and 48.3% of the popular vote. Hubert Humphrey became the 37th vice president in American history. This was mostly due to how Barry Goldwater looks, and a lot of people called him a radical and extremist.